Hello, everyone. My name is Randy Evans, and I'm the Manager of Public Practice and Community Partnerships here at the Jule Collins Smith Museum of Fine Art at Auburn University. And welcome to Common Grounds. This is the Jule's weekly program where we invite different artists, scholars, community members to come in and share their expertise in relationship to our exhibitions. Tonight, we are joined by Bruce Dupree, who's the Creative Services Manager at Alabama Cooperative Extension System. And Bruce is an expert on our current exhibition, The Historical Panorama of Alabama Agriculture by the late Mobile-based artist John Augustus Walker. Created in 1939 toward the end of the Great Depression as part of a Works Progress Administration project, these murals were produced to be displayed at the Alabama State Fair in Birmingham and to highlight the agriculture, history, and innovation in Alabama. As you will learn, we are fortunate to have these works almost 100 years later, as they were not intended to be permanent. So, and so far they have been incredible educational resources, teaching us both about regional and national history, as well as the cultural values of this important juncture in U.S. history. So we will have time for questions from both our in-person audience and our audiences online. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Bruce and let him speak more about these works.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you so much, Randy.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for being here. And just hope you'll find what is said here interesting and maybe even exciting. But just glad everybody could be here. I want to start with a couple of thank yous. First of all, thank you to Carol Watley. Carol Watley was a supervisor of mine several years back, and she allowed me to chase down the research for this project. When I probably should have been over here designing something, I was in the library digging through piles and piles of paper. I'd like to thank my current supervisor, Mike Clarity, for being here and for this Extension Week celebration. I'd like to thank the museum for this beautiful setting, for exhibiting the artwork so beautifully. And I may thank some more people along the way, because there have been a lot in this journey. It's been interesting. It's been fun. Oh, I remember the Walker family. The Walker family several years ago had me into their home at their kitchen table. They brought out boxes of papers. We went through photographs, through letters, through memorabilia that related to his life, this project, and just family memento. So that was pretty exciting. So to get started, I'd like everybody to know this isn't supposed to be here, okay? This was done as a temporary exhibit by an artist named John Augustus Walker. So this was temporary. If you want to see other examples of his work that were really meant to last a long time, walk through these galleries here. But these were backdrops for almost like a theatrical production. And as you know, when the play leaves town, or when the play shuts down, the set gets taken down and oftentimes destroyed. So we'll touch on that a little bit more. My first experience with these paintings came many years ago, when I was curious about what's behind some of the doors in the building that I still work in. And so I made my way up to this attic, and there these paintings were. Now, they didn't look anything like this, okay? They were stacked. It looked like the beginning of a great big fire, just one on top of the other. They were covered with dirt. They were covered with dust. Rodents lived in this attic space. There was moisture. Temperatures fluctuated. But what caught my eye was the color, okay? Probably nowhere else you'll go in the museum you'll see color quite like this. This is like theatrical color. So that's kind of exciting. And I probably shouldn't say, but I wanted to take the paintings home with me. I don't know what I would have done with them, but they were exciting to look at. I took each one of them carefully and stood them up in the attic. And when I was through, I put them back in the stack. My hands were covered with paint. Okay, this is tempera paint, and it came right off on my hands. So, oh, I just thought of something else, someone else who I wanted to thank, and that's past directors of Extension for not throwing these away. They were just up there with boxes of paper, old furniture. The attic was just not a place where most people went. So the story or the backdrop of the paintings is 1938, 1939. So that's a long time ago. And it was during this time that the Alabama State Fair contacted Auburn University. Auburn was not known by Auburn University at the time. It was Alabama Polytechnic Institute, okay, or API. They contacted the leadership at the university saying, would you like to create some artwork to fill up some of our exhibition buildings? There just happened to be the building in mind was one that had a swimming pool in it at one time, and now it was going to be set up differently. And so the university liked the idea. They ran it by Extension. Extension said, this is what we do. We extend knowledge. We are the major outreach tool of the university. Were then, we still are. And so Extension and the university contacted a woman named Mary Baldwin. Mary Baldwin worked in the WPA office in Montgomery, Alabama. So each state had a WPA office. Each state was divided up into regions, districts, if you will. Auburn was in a southern district. Within each district, you had artists. The WPA was a federally funded program of the Roosevelt administration at the time, and it was to get people back to work. When in 1938, 39, we're on the backside of a depression that was hard on the country. A lot of people were out of work, and so the WPA would find jobs, part-time jobs, for artists, for sculptors, for printmakers, for graphic designers, as well as a myriad of other professions. And so they came to so the agreement was made. They found John Augustus Walker. You'll see his name on many of the paintings here and descriptions. He was a Mobile artist. A little bit about him. Born in 1901. He grew up in Mobile, went to Mobile public schools. By the time he was a teenager, he was working 12-hour days already, some with his father, some with the railroad. As he grew up, he would eventually be transferred. Must have scared him to death, but transferred to St. Louis. It was there that he would be trained as an artist. He would be in St. Louis for about 6 years. He also got to do some traveling during that time to Cuba and to South Florida. And it was there where he saw these beautiful colors, the colors of the ocean, the colors of the sky, the citrus industry, houses painted crazy pinks and blues and yellows, very much a Latin influence. And so he came back to Mobile and began to paint. He knew he wanted to be an artist. He was just about every kind of artist that you can imagine. He did cards, he did billboards, but his main thing, he worked on Mardi Gras floats. So some of you all are familiar with Mardi Gras. Keep in mind, Mardi Gras happens in March, right? Okay, so this commission is coming to him in January. Do you see a conflict? There's a conflict. Talk about that later. And so with Mardi Gras floats, very much color, lots of color. And if you look at these exhibits and the more we're going to see in just a few moments, you will see that color. And you'll probably get tired of me saying color. That's just, that was just that influence. So he accepts the job. He tells Extension, the university, now I start needing materials. Maddie has some handouts. Yes. And so he needs reference materials. So the university has to send people out to do reference. So they take pictures, they cut things out of magazines. So he's looking for tools, he's looking for people, he's looking for costumes. And so on some of the, if you'll look at this lower corner piece here, okay, you'll see some of the photographs that he was sent. And you'll see some of these same images and likenesses in the paintings behind me. So that was kind of exciting. If you look in the upper corner, you'll see his shopping list for paints. Now, I make shopping lists all the time. They're probably not in anybody's file in special collections, but his are. And I know that's small, but it says, well, here's reds, and here's yellows, and here's greens, and here's blues. So he was getting all of these together. He had to go to work with the business office, I'm sure, and have itemized this and that, and travel vouchers. And so there's a business side to all this as well. If you look in that same picture here, there's one of his sketches. So he starts doing sketches. But notice how loose and how quick that was. He might have done that on the telephone, but until he gets the actual reference materials, then it's all kind of a quick thing. So he is agreeing to do this. Every time he sends something, the university sends something, and back and forth. And the original plan is for 29 murals. We only have 10, okay? Somebody overcommitted. Somebody promised something they couldn't deliver on. It got lost in committees. His father got sick. At one point in time, you mentioned they shut down the program. You know, the money wasn't coming in. There were lots of reasons that by the time we get to September, they're not done. Okay, so what we're going to do is look at some of these pictures and talk about history a little bit and sort of what's going on. So this is the first painting of this mural series. Now keep in mind, okay, this is a masterpiece. They just let me take down off the walls, and so here we are. This is what it would have looked like, kind of, in at the Alabama State Fair. Okay, so you had a mural, and in front of that mural there was all kind of hay bales, all kind of produce. You had pumpkins, you had corn, you had everything seasonal. This time of the year. And by the way, the Alabama State Fair, and y'all in Birmingham this weekend, is still going. So all this decoration had to happen at the hands of John Augustus Walker and and some of his crew, some of his help. So the bunting had to be stretched, the poles had to be wrapped, pictures had to be hung, and all this for about $30 to $45 a week. Okay, that was their budget, their agreement. So the first painting is Alabama's First Farmer. Alabama's First Farmer. And you can see this Native American woman has this really, really big hoe, this stone tool, and maybe she's weeding, maybe she's deepening the rows between the corn. The corn's not very high. It would get higher as agriculture would move on. They're burning stumps to clear the fields. Here's the Native American man. He's been out in the woods. He's bringing back the deer. And here are teepees. Okay, so we're calling this the Alabama Historical or the Panorama Historical. I can't remember, but it's just not very historic. It's not very accurate. Okay, so the Creeks or the Choctaw Indians that were originally here, that's not the look that or what they would have lived in. But they are clearing the fields. We've got some blue trees. We've got some red lines in the sky. Now, if you look at the sky treatment, you don't see it in any other of the paintings. Wonder why? Did it take too long to create? Pardon?
It ran out of paint.
Run out of paint? He could have been. Maybe that just took too much time. But you can see here, it's colorful, it's busy, there's a lot of motion, it's active. And he got through with painting, and the university said, this was originally a man. Okay? You can maybe still see the shadow from his beard. And so it got changed. Why do they change it? I don't know. But it's Alabama's First Farmer. So another thing I want you to think about, when I first saw these in the attic, they closed the attic down for years because there was asbestos in the attic. And the next time I saw these, they were traveling across campus in the back of a pickup truck, just all stacked on each other, flapping in the wind, if you will. And there was a lot of damage. There was dry rot. There were holes. Those have all been fixed now. And the tempera paint has been stabilized. But it was real common that when you saw people move these, there would be paint in their hands. So we're going to go. Well, we'll look at these real quick. So okay. So if you look at the sketch that's in this upper right-hand corner of the handout, you'll see on it number 23. Number 23 never happened. It looks to me like there's a county agent, and he's possibly visiting a client or a homeowner at the time. So that one didn't happen. And if you look at the sketch sort of in the background here, you'll see our Native American woman. Can y'all see that? That's kind of cool. And if you look closely down in this lower picture here, there looks like a woman out in a field who looks a lot like, maybe that's where he got the influence for drawing the Indian man that became the Indian woman that you see here. So that just kind of happens. Now on that same page that he drew the Native American woman, you see a big picture of a man. Well, that's a parade float. So I don't know if any of y'all ever, your mind sort of switch tracks during a lecture, a talk, a telephone call. Life kids, that'll do that to you. But he starts working on another project. So that was kind of just interesting to look at. So, all right, home and family. Anybody have any questions or thoughts about that? There's a lot going on. It's not just history, it's theater, okay? The trees, the colors of the sky. You'll see this same smoky pattern again and again in some of his artwork. So we'll look over here. Home and family, we call that FCS at our workplace. And here you have all things going on at home. You have babies, you have wood being brought, you have cooking going on, and look at these trees. You know, he's not putting leaves on every tree. It's just boom, 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 boom. You know, quick brush strokes down here, over here, up around here. But the trees, they frame everything going on in the family. So that's kind of neat. You'll see that device used several times, but you don't see it here. So y'all ready to sort of get up and come this way? All right. If you have any questions, please ask.
Did he complete the work in time?
No, he didn't. No.
So the question was, did he complete it in time? And we do have Maddie over here who has a mic, so if you do have a question so people can hear.
Okay. No, he didn't complete it. These are 10 of 29. The other 19 never got done. So his various reasons, his father got sick. He didn't work fast enough. Too many committees, you know, too many people trying to tell him what to do. Not enough content or reference materials coming. He just couldn't do it all. This was a person who worked. His family remembers him working all the time, late at night. His full-time job was with the railroad. So part-time job, doing this and other commissions all along the way. So y'all come this way. Onto the land came a new civilization, new tools, new animals, building houses. I mean, that's the story here. If you look at his hand, it looks almost like a flipper. I can tell you from drawing a lot, hands take time, okay? They can be hard to draw. So you'll see in some places where he spends more time, in other places not so much so. But I want you to also just, you know, the skies are more simpler. And if you look, this is how thin the canvas got. You can see the stretchers. Those are called stretchers. They kind of push the wood out that holds the canvas. Look how the clouds, you'll see other, I mean, the clouds behind you over here, those are real puffy. These flattened out. So, and you'll see these banners. This is a very common, a very old style. That's one of the things I first saw when I went to the attic, letting me know this was old. This was old. This is all hand lettered, and these titles, they all came from Extension and the university. So John Augustus Walker, here's the title. Here's the content. You make the painting. You'll also maybe notice, that some of the paintings are larger than the others. I think these that are on the blocks, the pedestals, are larger than most of these. Age, time, it tore all around the edges. I mean, this was just so thin. Many of these, when I saw them for the first time, just had big gaping holes in them. So they, in the first restoration of these, they just cut them down, trimmed them. Okay, so
Maybe we should look. I know you have a lot to say about the cotton load is too heavy.
okay. So in this painting behind me, it's I mean, you can see the title. The cotton load is too heavy. Can anybody explain that? What does it mean when the cotton load is too heavy? Huh?
Too much work.
Could be, yeah. Okay. It looks like a pitiful workforce, doesn't it? Okay. So let's go back. So look at all this orange soil. Erosion. Okay. The topsoil is gone. It's not going to be long before that cotton is just not growing at all. So this is post-Civil War. Who would have been working the fields prior to the Civil War? Slaves. Okay. Slaves are gone, at least from these big farm operations. And this is one thing that you don't, I mean, that was a pretty major force in Alabama agriculture prior to this time. So I want to think that maybe that if there had been a painting before this one, it might have shown that. But I don't know what or how it was decided what paintings would and wouldn't make it, or what John Augustus Walker was thinking as he went from one painting to another. But he lived during a time in our state where there were Jim Crow laws, and those were awful. Those were horrible, horrible laws that separated our society. So or the state society. So anyway, for whatever reason, you have this this small workforce. You have eroding soil. You have a house. If you look in the painting here, now this is not the same house, but it's a house very much like this one. That looks like it's maybe in a state of disrepair. And you have an example of the wagon load here coming from town. Okay, so somebody wasn't here the other day. What's the deal with that? Why is it coming from town? Look what's on the back. Hay, meal, grits, lard. Those would have been things at one time would have been on the farm, that the farm would have supplied to itself. And now he's having to go to the store in town, okay, to get those. Does anybody grow their own food? No, we go to Publix. We go to Target to get our groceries. And so that's where you've been, Target. You have some small ponies. You have people working the field. Look how high that cotton is. Okay, it's like knee level. Okay, so that soil is probably playing out a little bit, or maybe they didn't have the fungicides or herbicides going on it. And the road, all the washouts. So they've got a lot of problems on this farm. Okay, but it was very common of farms during that time. Okay, let's go over here. So a little bit out of order. Here are the Europeans coming. And what do they bring with them? Besides diseases and discoveries, they bring with them oxen, cattle. They bring pork, swine, hogs. Okay, so today we have a feral pig population, perhaps because of them. So here's a lot of that same brushy tree foliage. You have, look at this limb of this tree. I think he kind of had fun with that myself. It's rather whimsical. You have more teepees over here, just something kind of thrown in. And I could see very much how just about any of these could be a Mardi Gras float, okay? So he gets the commission in January. Mardi Gras is roughly the middle of March. So I just bet he's taking some time off from this to work on some costumes, some floats, things such as that. So, but I also think he really likes the color. Here's that Spanish influence again. And kind of like the one behind us, look where the vantage point would be. So you see this, you see this perspective taking you back to the field, okay? And here, it's coming back as well, except the vantage point or horizon line is back here. He does that to take your eye into the painting. All right, over here. So there's really a big jump from the Spanish coming in to the prosperity that we see in this picture. So if you kind of look close, here's the, you've got irrigation, okay? If you're fortunate enough to have a good stream going through your property, that's good. The water is blue, not just, I've never seen water in Alabama quite that blue, okay? You have adult animals and you have juvenile or baby animals, okay? A pony, a horse, a cow and calves, and more pigs and piglets. So kind of a lot going on there. That's a nice fence. That fence takes time, okay? It's not broken. It's clean. You have the fields being plowed over here. Things are growing. There's our familiar smoke out of the farmhouse again. So there's something good on the stove. You have a nice red barn. It's a far cry from the painting, the cotton load is too heavy. This might be corn, it might be hemp, it might be sunflowers. You know, not really sure. Doesn't really matter. You're not going to be looking at it this close anyway. And so in this painting at the fair, you would have seen prosperity. All those good things that grow on the farm, perhaps a few tools. I bet there's some flowers. It's a good thing. So the farm supports itself. Back over here, the farmer is going to town to get what he needs. So there's sort of a big jump that's happening here. And once again, your eye is going back here to a prosperous scene where you and I could be living, and this could be our farm, and you've done everything right. And isn't that the way farming is?
Can you share a little bit about why this idea of the farm supporting itself is significant at this time, like in the Great Depression, or what this is doing for the people visiting?
Sure. If I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the country, in the United States during that time, people are, it's been a very hard financial time. And so people are starting to figuratively pull themselves up by their bootstraps. That's an expression. Is that what you kind of mean? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so there's this national effort to get people back to work. There are not any entitlements, okay? It's all about hard work. It's all about doing it yourself. And well, that's just the message again and again. Work hard. We've all probably told our kids that, you know, work hard, and what? Everything will be great, right? Okay? May not exactly always happen like that, but if you work hard, there'll be a good payoff. And so So during this time, you'll see a lot of WPA artwork show that work ethic is being promoted again and again. Nationalism, all things good and strong about America, are happening here. If you just do this, you'll achieve this. So, you want to add anything?
No,
to that?
that's great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we'll kind of move this way, if you will. Farm progress is great. So here's what's great about it. Everything that's working here translates here. So going through the middle of the picture is a paved road. Okay, a paved, maybe concrete. That'd be great. And there's a school bus. So, Israel, you're back here sleeping on the school bus. Oh, I'm just kidding. Okay. So the school bus is coming out to the country and then going back to town or going back to the school. You have modern farming, a tractor, a nice new tractor, but over here it's contrasted with mules, horses, pulling a plow. Okay, who's going to get done faster? Probably him. Okay, so you have electricity coming to the country. You have power lines. So there are a lot of contrast that are there. Once again, America is changing. It's 1939. We're on the backside of the Depression. Things are starting to get better. Okay, there's still problems. There's still goods you can't find in stores. People are still having to work hard, but it's getting better. It's getting better. Okay, go this way. So if you look at your handout, you'll see some examples of John Augustus Walker other style. You'll see some murals that he painted that are now in the Museum of Mobile. Now, when he painted them originally, it was City Hall, and then it became a customs house. And eventually, and now you can go down and you can see those paintings. You have examples of Mardi Gras, examples of industry, and examples of the slave trade as it came in through Mobile. You'll also see an example next to that of one of his floats that he designed. So very different look. So I think if he's really a good artist, commercial artist, visual artist, he's able to work with his materials, work in the time frame that he needs to get things done, and there's certain audiences that he works to show to. And so let's see, if you look real close in the corner, you'll see there's our surveyor again. Okay, can you see the survey tools that are right there? Almost right in the middle of the little picture. Okay, what do survey tools represent? Represents building. Okay, represents organization, represents change, represents progress. And so you would.
Do you want to move over, sir?
Come over here. Okay. So read the title. Science on the Farm is bringing an improved Alabama agriculture with timber, better livestock, food and feed. Okay, that's extension. Okay, now we could list a whole lot of other things, but extension still works in the forest and land management. Still works with livestock, last I checked. Poultry, feral pigs, cattle, oysters, and food and more. Okay, so science-based information then, science-based information now. He does some nice sort of vignettes and pictures of the cattle. I would have turned the cow this way, looking in, but it's all right. We see hay, we see forage going on, we see canned goods. I just bet that in front of this painting there would have been a lot of canned goods. Okay, and here's some a forest where trees are being measured. So they get to be a certain circumference, height, and what happens, Becky? They get cut. Okay, they become flooring, they become houses, they become furniture, and paper, all those good things. So if you can do it later, but if you look real close at some of the paintings, you'll see pencil lines that are still there. And it's those pencil lines, artists who do murals, they work on grids, okay? So they don't just draw and come up close and draw. The drawing starts here in front of them, then they grid that off, and they go back to each square and draw what's in that square. And there's still a lot of back and forth, but it makes it more scalable, more easier to see and to read. So the background here differs from these. So this is more of a composite image, if you will. We're starting to sort of wind down. So any thoughts on this?
Yeah, are there any questions from anyone, either online or in person?
Sure. This is a very heroic figure. This figure, if you'll go to courthouses and post offices around the country and you'll see art of this style, you'll see these very almost superhero type characters. And so this fella, very posed, very focused, very strong. I mean, he's locked in on getting his work done. If you will look at, there's John Augustus Walker, okay? I like his work coat. I may get one to come to work one day with that on. But notice he's wearing a tie, okay? We've kind of shed ties. I'm kind of glad. And he's doing the Captain Morgan pose. Did y'all, kind of like that? And so he's really posing, and he's posing in front of one of his Museum of Mobile or City Hall museums as well. So I think that's kind of neat. If you look at the figures in his paintings, nobody is weak, nobody is small, everybody's muscular, okay? And that's part of that WPA ideal. This is inspiring us to be strong, us to be healthy. All right, almost done. So let's look behind you. All right. So if you will look at the flyer again. So the leadership at Auburn wanted to show off their technology. And if you look in the lower corner, they sent him pictures of farm tools. Now there's no precision farming there. There's no fancy fertilizers. There's nothing electronic. But you'll see all these tools. And John Augustus Walker did his best to work these tools into this painting. So these are labor-saving tools, very important. Very important to have. So we have yet another building being made, being built. You have poles being created. You have logs being split. Hogs are going to the smokehouse. Here's a grinding wheel to make sure your tools are sharp. So there's a lot of work going on there. And these are the labor-saving tools to make that work go better, go faster, and so they're getting it done. And now for the finale. How you doing? So with 2 weeks to go before the fair starts, John Augustus Walker loads up the train. Now keep in mind he worked for the railway. I've always wondered, did he get a free ticket? Did he get a discount? I don't know, but if you look in the top corner here, there's his train ticket. Okay, so he saved everything. He saved everything. So if you look at farm progress, if you do the tools, if you work in an organized, structured way, which is these paintings are telling you to do, then this is what you get. Okay. How many of us have ever been told go to college, get a job, and life's going to be good? Okay. Right? Okay. So you do everything you do over here, and you'll get a car one day. So as I told the others, here's this great big cornucopia, and anything that comes out of a cornucopia has got to be really good. So you got a big old bale of cotton. What can I do with a bale of cotton? I can make clothes, or I can sell it and make more money. Okay. These folks in the painting, cotton load is heavy. They're a long way from a bale of cotton. Okay, long way. So you've got electricity. We kind of need that now, don't we? Yeah, we've got a bolt of fabric. What's that for? Clothes. Okay. A dress to go to church in. Maybe a tablecloth. Maybe husband needs a shirt. The kids need pants, you know. So those are things you just didn't run to the store and get. It was you had to make it, and those materials were there. How many of y'all have grandparents that had their own sewing machine, or great grandparents that had their own sewing machine? My grandmother had one. I would sit under it and rock back and forth on the pedal that was there. Okay, we don't have those. We hardly have those anymore. So you have telephones, you have a big old monster tractor, you have a stove, hot water, a radio. Down here, a big house, a nice barn, hay in the field, a refrigerator, a hot water heater. Those still look like hot water heaters we have today. You have lightning bolts in the background because this is the finale, and as you know, with any finale, there's the music gets louder, and there's this great, wonderful ending. A lot of the same colors that he started with at the beginning, he's using here, and this was the nation. This was the United States we want to believe in then, and we want to believe in now, right? If we do it all right, if we connect the dots in the right way, good things will happen. I certainly think that way. So, are there any questions? Yes.
Restoration. I guess there was, or there has been a process of restoring.
There were two processes. There was one before I got to it. Whew, that was rough. Paints didn't match. But the main thing is they were just neglected after that. There was no plan for them. They sat in this attic for 40 or 50 years. After that, we wanted them in the museum. The museum was not going to take them unless they were insured, and they weren't going to be insured unless they were restored. Okay, the restoration was somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is so much money. And they did wonders with that. the colors just popped, these old tempera colors. You know, they're still glowing, which is really kind of a neat thing. You'll see in these drawings, these are oils. They take a long time to dry. They cost more. These were for commissions that were going to last and last and last. These were going to be thrown away, sadly, but that's how they, you know, that was what they were earmarked for. But they were saved. They would go on to be shown in Louisiana, possibly Mississippi, at other state fairs. In 1939, World War II was just getting started. In the next 2 years, all things war. WPA was closing down. Things were changing. So, yeah, other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all for bearing with me. It's a lot of talking. If you have any questions, be glad to ask. Once again, thank you all being here. Thank the museum for hosting this and for exhibiting these in such a beautiful way. 2 or 3 times back, we did this in Foy Union, and they had popcorn. So you had this with butter popcorn, and no one wanted to listen to me. They wanted to eat popcorn, but it was like being at the fair. And so that was kind of a cool thing.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Bruce, and thank you to Extension and being part of Extension Week. This exhibition will be up through the next semester, so come back and see them again, and hopefully we'll be partnering again with Extension in the future. But we're so glad that you advocated so much for these works of art and that we get to still enjoy them today.
Sure.
So
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay.